Kidarkenu Bakodesh. I'd like to start with Beracha. And Be'ezat Hashem, coming out of this Yom HaKadosh, I'm hoping that all the Yeshuot, all the Berachot that people were looking for in Klal Yisrael, will Be'ezat Hashem receive Leilu Nishmat, Rabbi Shayell'e, ben Rav Moshe Kerestir. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Sha'akol Nihiyah Bidvaro. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking tonight at a very tired man. In the last 48 hours, I went through more countries than I have children. And I do want to tell you, the amount of paperwork from border to border was mind-boggling. That COVID test became an extension of your passport. At every gate, at every turn, it's asked for, examined, dates checked, to the extent that you can't take 2 steps without it. Ladies and gentlemen, today was Gimel Iyar. Now I'll be honest with you. A year ago, if you would have came to me on Gimel Iyar and said, Rabbi, today is Gimel Iyar, I would say, that's right. And tomorrow's Dalet Iyar. And the day after that is Hey. What was so special? Until I got a phone call 2 days ago. And I'll be honest with you. So many times in life we start a week, we have no idea. We have no clue what that week has in store. Sometimes we start a week and Borei Olam has plans for us, and we don't have a clue that we're going to be flying around the world, continents, Europe, countries, borders, border controls, stopovers, flights. I thought that this week was just going to be another average week. I thought the craziness, the hullabaloo over Pesach, unbelievable Yom Tov, Chol HaMoed this year, we had many weekdays during the week. And then Shvi'i Shel Pesach, the pinnacle, the wow. But then the Chagim are over, and we take a breath, and we get down a notch, and we start to prepare as we get a little closer to the next climax, which would be Lag BaOmer. I didn't see Gimel Iyar coming. And you're thinking, what's Gimel Iyar, Rabbi? That's what I was thinking. If you would have came to me Saturday night, Motzei Shabbat, you would have came to me Sunday and said, Rabbi, this week is Gimel Iyar. Would have I fathomed for a moment that I was going to have the week that I'm about to tell you about? But ladies and gentlemen, understand this well. I'm off the plane now 3 hours. I did not sleep in the last 72 hours. You can see the bags and the bloodshot in my eyes. I had to literally pry the contact lenses off my eyes with screwdrivers just to get them out, to re-wet them and clean them, to be able to come in tonight, to be able to see the direction of the camera. And of course, the guys that are here. Rabotai, open your hearts. Let me tell you the story about Gimel Iyar. So 2 days ago, Tuesday afternoon, and this is why I came in tonight. I have no condition to give a class tonight. But I was Moser Nefesh because I want you to hear this while it's still fresh in my head. And by the way, this is not the main class yet. This is just the intro. I'm just coming out of it. I got to sit down and do chazara on everything and all the miracles that Hashem did for me on the last 72 hours. But this is just the coming out of the water and taking that first breath of inspiration. And then we'll break it down as the coming weeks come at us. Who knows what lays in store? After this week, You wake up in the morning and you have no idea where your world is going. And that, to me, was Tuesday this past week. 2 days ago. Tuesday afternoon, everything was regular, normal, hunky-dory. I gave the shiur be'ayun in the morning to the guys. I went back home, I started to prepare the Tuesday night class. That never happened. And now you'll hear why. I call Eretz Yisrael, and I call a great tzaddik, a tzaddik that I became very close to only recently. Reb Shmuel, he's the Rosh HaMikubalim. He's from the Lamed Vav Tzaddikim of the north of Tzfat. And I get on the phone with Reb Shmuel, and I say, Reb Shmuel, I know someone in the family that just got a very disturbing report from the doctors. Please, this person needs a blessing. Reb Shmuel says, give a beracha. That Bezat Hashem, they'll be fine. I said, Reb Shmuel, it's not the buha that I came to you for. I want a little bit something stronger. What should we do? Should we take upon ourselves something? Should we daven? What should we do? He said to me, you want to do something about it? I said, yeah. Then get on a plane and go to Budapest. I said, well, Budapest? Where's Budapest? He says, Hungaria. Hungary. Hungary? Come on. I said, what's in Hungary? He said, you don't know who's buried in Budapest? You don't know who's buried in Hungary? I said, no. The great Rabbi Shayell'e ben Ramoshe. Rabbi Shayell'e Kestir. The great Rabbi Shayell'e mi Kestir. He's buried in Budapest. He's the great Bal Yeshuot, Bal Mofet. He says, if you go there and daven, all your tefillot will be answered. All the Yeshuot that you're looking for, all the Yeshuot that people call you and ask to pray for, that's the place to go for Yeshuot. I said, wow. And then he started to make me promises, which this rabbi never does. And he says, if you go to Rabbi Shayell'e on the Yartzeit on Thursday, this week is the Yartzeit? He said, yes. He says, when you go to Rabbi Shayell'e, you'll see Yeshuot at any time. But if you go this Thursday on the Yartzeit, where Rabbi Shayell'e is there on the kever, he says, you have no idea what you're going to see. He said, anything you ask for is cash. Bamakom, it's answered. I said, wow, I don't know what hit me. I said, I don't understand. He says, let me explain to you. A tzaddik like this was put into the world to bring great yeshuot to those, the Ozer Dalim, especially the Harav, I was waiting for you. He was put into this world to be a conduit to bring Yeshuot to Klal Yisrael. And in the last year and a half, due to COVID, not too many people were able to go to him. And because of that, Rabbi Shayell'e on this coming Yartzeit is like a pregnant woman who's overdue. He has so much to deliver over so much time. Anyone that shows up, anyone that davens, anyone that requests, the Yeshuot will flow like water. I said, wow, this is too much. This is unbelievable. I said, okay, but it's Tuesday afternoon. How in the world am I going to make it to Budapest by Wednesday night? Budapest. Who in the world heard of? I mean, I have a better shot at going to Morocco. Budapest. He says, go. You're on the invite list of Rabbi Shayell'e. I said, there's an invite list? I didn't get an email. Nothing. He says, go. I said, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I hung up the phone, and I called my good friend Teddy Sroh. I said, Teddy, your brother-in-law, he's a great guy, but he's a guy that, he makes things happen. Let's just put it like that. Lee Cohen, good old friend of mine. I said, get Lee on the phone now. We're going to Budapest. He said, Buddha who? I said, not Buddha. Budapest. Hungary. Rabbi Shayell'e. Karistir. He said, who is that? I said, I'll tell you on the plane. What am I going to tell the guy? I said, but we're going to Rabbi Shayell'e. He said, okay. Rebbe, if you said we're going, we're going. He calls up Lee. Lee says, are you joking? I've been trying for 2 weeks to go to Rabbi Shayell'e this coming Thursday on the Yartzeit. You calling me, what, Tuesday afternoon? We got to be there Wednesday night? I've been working on this for 2 weeks. I can't get there. They were supposed to charter a plane, and then the charter fell through, and then they were supposed to charter a second plane, and the plane fell through, and there was supposed to be a direct flight, and once upon a time before COVID, the Russian airline, what's the name of the place? The Russians.
Ukraine?
No, not Ukraine, the other one.
Lufthansa?
No, anyways, doesn't matter. One of the Russian airlines had a direct flight from JFK, direct to Budapest. He says, but because of COVID, no more direct flights. He says, I've been trying for over 2 weeks. You're calling me now in the bottom of the 9th inning of the game, and you're telling me, let's go? We want you guys for 2 weeks. I've been working on this for 2 weeks. I said, listen, Lee, the rabbi said that I'm on the invite list. And if I'm calling you, I'm extending the invitation. You want to go? He says, of course I want to go. I tried everything. There's no way to go. I said, do you want to go? He says, I want to go. I said, good. Try one more time. The rabbi's on our side. I said, okay, I'll try again. And he literally laughed me off the phone and hung up. And when I took an oil candle and I lit the oil, Leilu Nishmat, Rabbi Shayell'e ben Rabbi Moshe Mikaristir, I said, Heilige Rabbi Shayell'e, I only heard about you now. I did not know about you before. But I do want to say that from what I just heard, it'll be a tremendous honor. It'll be an opportunity to daven for the Yeshuot of so many people who need. Please, if I'm really on your invite list, open the doors for me now. I want to come to you. Help. That was it. I lit the oil candle. 20 minutes later, I get a call back. Rabbi, you're not going to believe this. The lady that's in charge for the permit of entry to Budapest, I just got on the phone. I've been trying to get through her for 2 weeks. I just got her on the phone. I said, what? What'd she say? She says, we have a chance. I called another good friend of mine, one of my old Talmidim, one of my closest friends, Maya Asafti, your father-in-law. Shem should bless him. He's a pro in this area. He's on first name basis with all the tzaddikim in Europe. He has a whole... I said, Meyer, I need a hand. I got to go to Rabbi Shayell'e. He says, you want to go to Rabbi Shayell'e? I said, yeah. He says, you know the Yartzeit's tomorrow night. I said, I know, but I'm on the invite list. He said, oh, you're on the invite? If that's the case, then don't worry. Let me see, let me work on it. Did I know that there was a permit? You need a special permit to enter the country of Budapest. You need a COVID test to be able to enter any country outside of the United States. And being that there's no direct flights, even if you're going through a country just as a stopover for an hour or two, they won't let you in, or out for that matter, I don't know what they do with you, if you don't have the COVID test. So I had to run to Dr. Fariwa. And I said, I need a quickie. And they said, which one? You need a... No, not that one. I need the overnight one That's not really overnight. It's Ke'ilu overnight because it starts before midnight and then it ends 10 minutes later. I need the overnight one so that I can show that I have a negative COVID test, and please make sure it's negative. I have a negative COVID test within the 24, 48 hours of your flight. So you believe this? I got this call that afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, from the Mekubal, from the Tzaddik. He tells me we're on the invite list. We must go. He made all types of promises that if we do go, you're going to see Vada Yeshuot, because Rabbi Shayell'e wasn't visited in almost a year and a half from people due to COVID, so he's overdue. Whatever that means. Could you explain to me what this means? I don't even know what those words mean. I'm repeating to you blow by blow. Wait, we get warm. We're not even there yet. We didn't get on a plane yet. Chakeh. We're just trying to get to the plane. But we need an entry permit. We need COVID tests. And then we need tickets. Now, once that charter fell through, the whole world had to revert back to regular tickets. So suddenly all the seats on all these connecting flights going to Europe were being filled up like popcorn. Pop, pop, pop. They were going in minutes. In minutes. And what type of flights am I talking about, Rabotai? Listen to the flights I'm talking about. I'm talking about flights that the stopover is not an hour, 2 hours, Anachnu, Americans, we are so mifunak, it's unbelievable. When we hear of a layover, a stopover for more than 2 hours, 2.5 hours, that's it. Wow, are you crazy? Wow, are you joking? What? I'm going to have to start paying rent in that country? You crazy? What do you mean? What are you talking? 2.5 hours? We were looking at layovers between 7 to 9 hours. And there was nothing else available. What are you going to do in Amsterdam for 7 to 9 hours? So Lee said, like any good SY, let's go get a hotel room. We'll take a shower, freshen up, clean up a little bit. I said, Lee, it's a great idea. The only problem is, we need to get to the Yartzeit. We need to get to the rabbi Wednesday night. If you're going to start with these 10-hour layovers, you're going to end up coming to the Yartzeit when it's basically, what'd you do? So we had no tickets. But at least we had the lady working with us for the entry permit to Hungary. So anyone out there who's hungry enough for this, you need an entry ticket. A special permit to be invited by the government of Hungary to be allowed to enter their country. Besides all the other, it's like a special visa for the occasion. Why? Because the country, Hungary, was closed to all foreigners up until Monday of this past week. This past week, Monday, 3 days before Rabbi Shayell'e's Yartzeit, they opened the country to foreigners. Talking about coincidences. Now, Shamayim, 2 hours later, Lee calls me and says, you're not going to believe it. We just paid for all the permits. They just emailed it over. It's a barcode. You show it to them in the airport. They zap it. It goes straight to the Hungarian government. And you're confirmed. I said, Baruch Hashem, we got the first hurdle out of the way. Okay, what about the COVID test? Dr. Fariwa! We come to Dr. Fariwa. We took the the COVID test. Come back in tomorrow morning. We get the piece of paper. Baruch Hashem, it was negative. So far, so good. Check number 2. But we need tickets that are going to get us there on time. Maya calls me back after night Seder Tuesday on when was it? Late Tuesday, I think. I don't even remember any more days. And he says, my travel agent got you tickets. I said, really? How long is the layover? 22 hours? 32 hours? How many hours? He says, no, 2.5 hours. Get out of here. From where? From what? He says he found KLM, just added a flight 10 minutes ago. He grabbed you 3 seats. He's holding a few guys. Just send over the money. No problem. Lee, Meyer just got us 3 seats on a flight that didn't exist 10 minutes ago, but just went up on the queue. KLM is running on this one. Get a hold of Meyer. I'm going into Night Seder. I come out of Night Seder, booked. What time is the flight? 10 o'clock. Oh my gosh. I said, so we got to go. So we have the flights. We have the COVID tests. We have the permits entry to. We run out to the airport. We make the flight, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Unbelievable. We get on the flight. Min Hashamayim, I'm telling you. This was, I couldn't believe I was sitting on that flight. Do you know what it is to wake up in the morning not ever even imagining that you'd be getting onto a plane going across half the world, and then suddenly the chain of events that day, Borei Olam has a completely different plan for you. Rabot mahashavot b'levish. But boy, was this v'atzat Hashem hitaku. The next morning we wake up in Amsterdam. What do I know from Amsterdam? Reb Naftali mi Amsterdam. That's all I know. From learning, I know about Amsterdam. Geographically, I know nothing. I know a little bit about what happened there in World War II with the Nazis, Yamach Shemam. But what do we know? We came into Amsterdam, Rabotai. And we're going now for a 2.5-hour spread to get onto the second flight in order to go out to Budapest, to Hungary, where Reb Shayell'e is buried. We come in there to Amsterdam and you could feel the hatred of Europe. Bli Ayin Hara, there was a big Hasidic Shayell'e with us. So it wasn't like 3 guys walking around in Yankee caps. They knew who we were. They knew we were here. Every time we turned the corner in the airport, everyone stopped and looked. And it was quiet. And it was like, we're on the way to Rabbi Shayell'e, people. It's unbelievable. We finally made it through that airport. It's amazing to me. One side of the airport is considered one part of Europe. The other side of the airport is part of the EU, a different part of Europe. So you have to go to passport control through one side of the airport to the other side of the airport in order to pick up our connecting flight. We're on this line for an hour thinking, are we going to even make it to the connecting flight? You walk through the passport and they say, welcome to Europe. I thought I was in Europe. This is amazing. Step by step, Borei Olam was testing our emunah. Are we going to make it? And every time another monkey wrench threw in, at the last minute, the door opened. And every time we thought we were stuck, and there's no way this is going to happen, and at the last second, a door opened. And I'm sitting there closing my eyes. Einod milvado, einod milvado, einod milvado. V'schut Rabbi Shayell'e ben Rav Moshe, einod milvado. I'm on the invite list, for heaven's sake, let me through. Please, let me through. Pitchuli, Sharei Tzedek, Avov Am Odeya. Ze Hashem, Hashem, let me through. We finally make it to the gate. I run up because we didn't have our boarding passes for the second flight yet. They give it to you as you enter the second plane, the second leg of the trip. And I woke up with Lee and Teddy to the lady and I said, so, do you guys have us sitting together? And the lady looks at our passports and says, you don't have seats. I said, what do you mean we don't have seats? I'm on the invite list of Reb Shayell'e. Seats? I'm going first class. You don't tell me about seats, young lady. Now, go check your fancy computer and find our seats. Tick, 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 tick. Sir, with a European accent, sir, you don't have seats. I said, what do you mean we don't have seats? Of course we have seats. He says, no, you were placed on the waiting list on the standby for the connecting flight. What are you talking about, Willis? What did you just say? Standby? Who put us on standby? We paid for these tickets. I'm on a waiting list. I'm on the invite list. I looked at the lady. There got to be a mistake. She says, no, there's no mistake. And the truth of the matter is, our computers are very slow today. I said, I know! Very slow. So slow that it didn't even get the memo yet from yesterday when we were on the standby to today's reservations. But you go TikTok another time, you're going to find that not only do we have seats, but we were probably even upgraded. She says, sir, this flight is an all-economy flight. I said, I know. But you'll see, we're going to be sitting with the pilot in the cockpit because Rabbi Shayell'e is waiting for us and we're not moving on our emunah bitachon. She says, sir, I'm sorry, you're on the standby. We don't know if you're going to make this flight. So one of the guys says, so what happens if, God forbid, we don't make this flight? When's the next flight out? She said, well, the next flight is tonight at 11 p.m. That was the flight we were looking at originally. The 9-hour layover. The one that we thought we got around. Only to find out we're on standby. The guy started panicking. I said, guys. I want to teach you something. Lee, listen to me well. Hashem doesn't abandon you in the 7th inning. Remember that word. Hashem doesn't abandon you in the 7th inning. If He brought us this far, He's not dropping us in Amsterdam. He brought us to miracles up until this point. Come on. Yesterday morning when you woke up, did you even imagine, did you fathom that you would be on the other side of the world in less than 24 hours? My friend, we're in Amsterdam. You thought you were going to be in Borough Park this afternoon. We're in Amsterdam. What Borough Park? In Amsterdam. If He brought us this far, Hashem does not drop you in the 7th inning of the game. Okay, Rabbi. I go to the side, I sit down, and I close my eyes. And I say, Reb Chaim Volozhiner was known to say over the great Sigula, the famous Maisa with the Brisker Rav, on the train with the Nazis. You close your eyes, and believe me, when I was sitting in Amsterdam, I saw these skinheads walk by. I saw these guys, Shema Yisrael, what's living out there in some of these European countries. And I don't know, maybe I'm a fool, could be. I'm not the guy that goes with the baseball cap. I'm not that guy. I don't know, maybe I was born with too much pride to be a Yid. But my pride as a Jew, I'm just not the guy that's hiding. I'm just not that guy. I did hear that in Budapest it's 30 degrees. I didn't know this. So when I left America, I left with just my sports jacket, not knowing I need to bring a coat. They told me it's going to be 30 degrees. So in the airport, I went and picked up a sweatshirt that says, I love New York, because that was the only such sweatshirt that they sold. But what was I going to get? What else am I going to get? It's 30 degrees. I thought to myself, I'm coming to Rabbi Shayell'e, I love New York. Lo yafeh. But what am I going to do? It's 30 degrees. And in Europe, it can get cold. But to put it under my coat, under my jacket, and I have the hoodie, just in case I need for my ears, because my ears are, get cold. And that was it. I go to the side, I sit down, I close my eyes. I decided we're going to do the Sgula of Reb Chaim Volozhiner. Einod Milvado. What does that mean? Duvi, what does that mean? I start talking to myself. What does that mean? It means that there's no one else but Hashem. Hey, what does that mean? That Hashem is one? No, that's not what it means. It means that Hashem is the only one. There's a big difference. It's not that Hashem is one instead of two. Hashem is the only one. No one else exists. Nothing else exists but Borei Olam. Say that again. Einod milvado. No, Chamo, say it again, Duvi. Einod milvado. Just then, I hear in the back of my head, they're starting to announce boarding for the next flight, KLM to Budapest. That's our flight. Mafi seats. We don't have any seats. We're still on standby. And they're not calling us. No, Chamo. Doesn't matter. They're not in charge. Hashem is in charge. Come on, let's do this again. Rabbi Shayell'e, I believe that you are not going to drop us in the 7th inning of the game. That you brought us this far. You put me on Reb Shayell'e's list. You gave me the invite to the great Reb Shayell'e Mikrer. If you brought me this far, you're going to get me on this flight. Abba, ani lo yachal. I can't save myself now in this situation. Aval ata kol yachal. You can do anything. And if you want to get me on this flight, en od milevado. Again. En od milevado. Again. All of a sudden I hear they announce, ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. We have to stall the boarding for another few minutes because our computers are down. Now their computers are down legamre. I said, oh, that's it. That's it. The computers are down. So even when our reservation would have come up, but when the computer no longer is working, there's no way for them to change their mind from what they told us to a situation that would benefit us. I started making cheshbonot of how things should work. Then I stopped and said, wait. You're telling Borei Olam how to get you on this flight? Well, you understood that the computer's going down was a sign that things got worse? You just told Borei Olam, ani lo yachol. And you're making cheshbonot telling him how to save you? Go back to your ani lo yachol. And let him be the kol yachol. Okay, Nachama, let's do this again. From the top. Let's do it right this time, for heaven's sake. Abba, ani lo yachol. I cannot help myself in this situation. Yeah, computers, no computers, makes no difference. Ata kol yachol. You are completely in charge. Makes no difference if they have computers or not. Ani somech alecha. Ani boteach becha. Rak alecha. No one else. Not this lady behind the counter. Not BLM, not KLM. I'm not somech on anyone but you. At that point they were the same. I'm not somech on anyone but you. You want to get me on that flight? The Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't drop you in the 7th inning of the game. You brought me this far. You're going to bring me all the way to Karastir. I know it. Reb Shayell'e has me on the invite list. We're going to make this. En od milvado. Nachama. En od milvado. En od milvado. All of a sudden, ding dong. With the passenger, David Ben Sausen, Teddy Srar. They couldn't say Sror. Teddy Srar. And Lee Cohen come up to the front gate. I said to myself, was that a bat kol? Because I was so deep into my enod milvado, when you hear that voice call your name, it's like, I'm too young. And then Lee says, Rabbi, they called us up to the front desk. Oh, myself, thank you. I jumped up, we ran up to the front desk. She says to us, listen, our computer's down, so we no longer have access to a waiting list. We don't know who's in the front. We don't know who's in the back of this waiting list. You guys, we know at least are on the waiting list. So 3 seats just open. We're putting you in. Now guys, listen to this. Look at the Eibishter. She pulls out, I'm telling you, Baruch Hashem, I have witnesses on this. They would never believe me. Rabbi Duvi stories. She pulls out a blank piece of paper. Her computer is down. She can't have it. She doesn't have a printer. She pulls out a blank piece of paper. She takes her pen and writes, Ben Susan 32A. This is your boarding pass. I said, the Abish is laughing at all of them now. There isn't even anything to scan. It's the Munkacher's passport. You know that famous Kalbach? The Munkacher's passport? How the Munkacher Rebbe cried on a piece of paper and it opened the borders for all of the people who needed. This was the Munkacher passport. It was built. It was written through the ink of En Od Milevado. She writes out Ben Susan 34 A, B, D, whatever it was. She writes out Teddy Srar 34B, Lee 34A. She hands us the papers, blank papers. I was laughing because Borei Olam was saying, you thought that when the computers went down, you were in a worse situation? Didn't you say, Ata lo yachol? Va'abba ata kol yachol? can't you at least stick to your own script? Can't you at least hold to your own preach? I put those computers down to get you on the flight. They don't have a record of the list anymore, of the waiting list. They don't know who's waiting, who's standby, and who's not. So they put us on. Rabotai, not only did they put us on, but because they called for the boarding before this fiasco, everyone was standing by boarding, waiting to get on the plane. When she handed us these 3 ridiculous handwritten pieces of paper, she opens the door by the counter and says, "Come inside, I need to walk you through because there's no thing on it." So she walked us through. You ever see those guys going to first class that they have some flight attendant walk them through security? We were on standby. Says Borei Olam, I can take you from standby to first class in a matter of a moment. I'm the one that opens the doors. I'm the one that paves the way. I'm the one that gave you that bogus boarding pass. And I'm the one that's going to walk you straight up to the plane. She opens the door, and there is nothing to scan. So she had to walk us through. We were not the last 3 of standby. We were the first 3 on the plane of leg number 2. We sit down, we look at each other, we burst out laughing, and I started singing, Rabbi Shayell'e ben Moshe, Rabbi Yishai. I don't know the song yet, I'm still working on it. I'm getting there. I only heard it that night 97 times, but I'm still working on it. Beautiful song. I almost started crying when I heard the song. I'm still working on the tune. But I started singing it. Off tune, of course, but I started singing it. I wasn't the Levine that sings in the Bet HaMikdash. We were the ones that held Aron. I hope so. The guys that couldn't sing, they gave him to hold the Aron. We're sitting on the second leg of the flight. We're looking at each other. We can't believe this is happening. It's one nest after the next nest. But every leg of this trip was with a test of emunah on every step of the way. You want to go? Let me see you earn it. Let me see where you're holding. If you're holding by it and you're ma'amin, I'll get you there. But if you're not, then you don't belong on the invite list. I started to chap. The qualifications for this invite list has nothing to do with a bank account. It has nothing to do with anything but where the emunah and bitachon of the mensch is holding. If you want to go, b'makom שרוצה ללכת, מוליכים אותו. בדרך שאדם רוצה ללך, מוליכים אותו. But show me you want it. Show me you believe, and I'll open up the doors for you. Yesterday morning you woke up, you didn't think you were going to go further than Ocean Parkway and Avenue Z. The next day you woke up in Amsterdam, and you were told that you're on a standby list. But I gave you the Munkacha passport, and now I'm sending you out to Budapest. And we were the first 3 guys on the flight. 2 hours later, we land in Budapest. Budapest is not Amsterdam. Amsterdam is a little bit more advanced. Second world country. Budapest is -3, I would say. When we walked into that airport, we already understood. As we heard the sheeps and the goat as we walked by, bah, welcome to Budapest. There were people sitting by tables with pens. That was passport control. It looked like a little school with desks and tables. And they said, where's your permit to enter Budapest? I woke up to the guy, I handed him my permit. He says to me, where's the other half of the permit? So Borei Olam. I just passed the standby gig. That wasn't easy. But we passed it by the skin of our teeth. you gave me a chance to sit down and say Enod Milvado until I finally started to feel it, and that's when you drop their entire computer system. But what am I going to do now with this guy? This Hungarian guy, what am I going to do with him? So I looked at the guy and I said, I'll be honest with you. That's what the lady from Budapest emailed us. That was the attachment. I printed it out. He says, show it to me on your phone. I pull out my kosher flip phone. He says, that's the phone that you... I said, no. It was off of Teddy's phone. That's off of Lee's phone. They have fancy phones. He says to me, why do you have this phone? I said, this is a kosher phone. He says, what's kosher about the phone? I said, there's no email, there's no texting, there's no social media. He says, that's very interesting. You mean people need to talk to you? I said, I need to talk to people. People need to talk to me. He says, very interesting. He looks down at the paper and he starts writing. And he's writing. This guy's writing a Megillah. And I'm thinking to myself, what is he writing? Send him to jail, you know. What is he writing? You know, he doesn't have his paperwork. And meanwhile, every stop we make on this trip, they pile on you another layer of paperwork. The time we were done this trip, we came home with a file cabinet of papers. It's unbelievable. You don't know what it is to travel today. In Europe, you don't know what it is to travel. Permits, PRC tests, antibody tests, vaccine tests. Everyone's asking you for something else. And you need this document for entry, for exiting, and you don't know a thing. You're walking in the dark and Borei Olam is laughing. You thought it was you that all these years just went from country to country freely, entered one and exited the other with your passport? That was me, says Borei Olam. I allowed you entry and I exited you. But now I'm going to show you that you need me on every entry and every exit. And every entry and every exit of this trip came with a new chidush of things we never heard of, lo shama'anu, lo ra'inu, until we got there, which is the scariest thing. You never know what the next leg of this trip is going to lead to. The guy checks off what he checked off. He scans the barcode on the front of the page. He claims there was supposed to be another 3 on the back that was never printed. And he hands it back to me and he says to me, enjoy your pilgrimage. That was the longest English word I got out of this guy. Everything else he hardly was able to say. But pilgrimage he got. To me that was Rabbi Shayell'e's wink. Enjoy your pilgrimage. I took that paper. I got out of there so fast. Lee and Teddy were right behind me. We ran outside. We davened mincha with the chevra. We had a minyan of 50 guys, b'le'ayin hara. And then we went and picked up the car, and we're about to drive now to Kerestir. It's a 2-hour drive. So I said to myself, hey, it's 6:15 in the afternoon. The Yartzeit is starting that night. We're still pinching ourselves, not believing that we're in Budapest. On the day before, we woke up in Brooklyn thinking that, we're going to take a stroll on Ocean Parkway. But Hashem put us here. Hashem put us here. Hashem put us here. The amazing vart, a beautiful vart. Ve'ahavtat Hashem Elokecha, Parashat V'Etchanan. Parashat V'Etchanan. Says the Karliner Rebbe, the Karliner. Ve'ahavtat Hashem Elokecha. Says Rashi over there. Al tachlok al makom. Don't be cholek on Hashem. Don't have tightness on Hashem. Don't ask Hashem why. You know the way you show ve'ahavta. Love for God is accepting everything He brings to you as the best for you. Al tachlok al makom. Don't argue on Hashem. Accept everything He does as your best. Says the Karliner, it's interesting, Rashi could have said, Al tachlok al Hashem. Al tachlok al kudsha berichu. Al tachlok al yotzrecha. No, he says, Al tachlok al hamakom, which is another way of saying Hashem. He said, why did Rashi decide to use the word makom to describe Hashem, and not Hashem, or not HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or many other ways of describing Hashem. He says, because sometimes in life, Hashem puts you in a place that you don't have a clue how you got there. Ve'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. Al tachlok al hamakom. Don't be chaylik on the makom that I put you. I put you there. Ve'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. Al tachlok al hamakom. Don't be chaylik on Hashem in the makom that He placed you. Abba, you put me in Budapest. Then I'm here because you put me here. And if you brought me this far, we're going to make it to Kerastir. We rented a car from Sixt. We had no idea where we were going. One guy had Google Maps. The other guy had Waze. We had a machloket rishonim between Google Maps and Waze. How exactly to make it to Kerastir? I'm thinking to myself, Yavo Ashalishi v'achriya b'neihem. So I pulled out my iPad and put on the Waze. And we started to find our way through the countrysides. It started getting dark, but we were in a rush. Because we have all night by the kever. 2 hours to get there. We'll get there at 8:30. Mamish, the beginning of the night, perfect. We'll go to the house of the famous Rabbi Shayell'e. We'll spend the first leg of the night by the big seudah that they make on the Yartzeit. That's supposed to be able to feed thousands, because that's what Reb Shayell'e was all about. Reb Shayell'e was the Ish HaChesed, the Amud HaGadol of Chesed, of the generation. He fed Aniyim, he fed everyone. He was known for his Motzei Shabbat. He would have hundreds of Aniyim. He would slaughter animals, he would shech chickens. There was nothing that he would hold back for the Aniyim. And anytime people came to him, he fed them. This was an unbelievable experience. We'll come to the house of the Rav. We'll have the big seudah al derech Reb Shayell'e Kerastir, and then from there we'll make our way up. We'll go up to the kever and spend the whole night davening, saying the whole Tehillim, crying out with the masses, asking myself, am I going to get close to the kever? You know, when you travel that far, that many hours, and you finally make it to the kever on the Yartzeit, and you know that the neshama of the tzaddik comes down on the Yartzeit and sits on the kever, you want to try to get as close as you can. It's a normal human wanting. I'm thinking to myself, will we get close enough? We drive up to Kerastir. We pull into Kerastir. It's already dark. And they send us off to a side parking lot and they tell us, you can't drive up to the kever. You can only go this far. Come out, enjoy the meal, and then you'll get into a shuttle, and they shuttle you up to the kever with everybody else. So we parked the car, and we're walking out to the house of the Rav. And the shomrim that are there, the guys in charge from our chevra, they said, quick, grab something schnell, quick, grab something to eat, and jump on the shuttle. I said, what's the quick? We have all night. He says, no, you didn't hear? I said, hear what? You don't know that in Hungary there's a lockdown tonight? I said, what? What are you talking about? He said, there's a lockdown tonight. And then another guy walks by me in Hebrew and says, yes, seger, yalla, chevre, maher. I said, is a seger? Me is a shaot. He says, me eser lechamesh. I said, what? It's almost 9 o'clock. I came here 19 hours to daven for an hour. The American guy tells me, you have no choice. Because if they catch you here, this isn't America. These guys are ruthless. And they see Americans, they're going to wipe you out for every dollar you have. They're going to start giving you tickets. They're going to take your passport away. They might even, God forbid, arrest you. When they say that they have a lockdown, that you're caught, you're found in the street, you're finished. They don't care what country you're from. He says, get in quick, grab something to eat, jump on the shuttle, at least get an hour by the kever. 10 o'clock, the kever is locked down. We're throwing out everybody because the police already told us that they're coming up tonight to the kever, and if they find one Jew by the kever after 10 o'clock, they're arresting him. I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, I don't get it. We came this far. then I stopped. Wait 1 second. 1 second. Didn't I hear this song before? It's like the song that never ends. From the minute I got this phone call, that I made the call to the Mekubal the day before, to even hear about this idea in the first place, to find myself the next day on the other side of the world in Kerestir, after 2 flights through Amsterdam. And the next leg, again, here it is. Here's the Nisayon. You have an hour to daven. Yes, you came 19 hours, says Borei Olam, and I put you here for an hour to daven. And if it's going to be an hour, so be it. And if it's going to be all night, so be it. I put you here, and what is your question? Al tachlok ala makom. I said, Abba, you're leading the way. I'm just following, holding your hand with my eyes closed, nasa v'nishma. Okay, if that's what it is, that's what it is. We ran inside. We chopped a little piece of kugel, came running outside, jumped on the shuttle. Up to the kever we went. We come into the kever at 9:15. It was mobbed. But I want to tell you something. I was so impressed with the shomrim, the guys that were in charge, wearing the Rabbi Shayell'e jackets. They were the security, the Jewish security, in charge of the kever. They did something so smart. I've never seen this done before. And if they can do this by the Rashbi one day, this would be awesome. But listen to what they did, so smart. They took these metal police fences and they set them up on the inside of the kever, around the kever itself, giving you only a very narrow walking lane to make your way between the kever and the metal fence like a path, walking around the kever. Now, all the people that came to daven Tehillim that whole night, that are standing and davening, everyone was placed beyond those fences. But when you first come in, they allow you to enter the kever and walk through this narrow path, which is between the kever and the metal gates, so that you actually walk in and shake Reb Shayell'e's hand. Beautiful idea, whoever came up with this. Kol hakavod. Hashem should bless you. Million pa'amim. What a push that was for us. We walk inside, we see the crowds of people, but we see an easy pass lane. And we looked at the guy, and the guy says, go ahead, walk up to the kever. Give shalom to Reb Shayell'e. And we're looking at him like, we can do it? Says, go ahead. We walked down that lane. I'm telling you, I walked in there, I started crying. I don't even know why. I walked up to the kever, I walked up to the matzeva, and I'm running my hands over Shayell'e ben Reb Moshe, and I'm holding the stone on the Yartzeit. And I started crying, Rabbi Shayell'e, we came from the other side of the world. Thank you for inviting me. We went through miracles just to get here. And I started pouring my heart out. But you only get 30 seconds or so there. There's always the next guy that's elbowing you. No, shine, no, shine. And they're right. I was so overwhelmed with emotion at that minute. I couldn't believe to get so close so quick. I finished what I said, and I came around, and everybody came around, and I said, I need more. I'm going back on the line for doubles. I went outside the kever, came back in, and I stood there, and went right down the lane again, right up to the kever. I hugged the kever, and I started davening and crying for all the people, and all the yeshuot, and everything that everyone sent me for, and the family, and my wife, and my children, and myself, and the shul, and Klal Yisrael, and the Torah Center, and everything that I was coming to beg for. And then I got the elbow, no, shine. And I pushed off, and I came around again. I felt like Dopey in Snow White. I kept going around again and again, till finally I said, okay, I got to daven. I got to say the Tehillim now. So I made my way on the other side of those fences, along with Klal Yisrael, everyone who was there. I started davening. I said, Duvi, listen to me. You got 20 minutes left. It's 20 to 10. 20 minutes. Just pour your heart out over the Tehillim. You already shook Reb Shayell'e's hand. You already told him, more or less, bullet points, what you're here for. Now daven, the Tehillim. I started davening, I'm telling you. But then I started realizing, 10 minutes, 15 minutes into Tehillim, there's a crowd of 500 people. Nobody's going nowhere. I said to myself, come 10 o'clock and let it go. If they're going to come down here, they're going to take all of us. What, are they going to arrest everybody? No. At least I have what to tell my wife. See, the trick is, if you're the only one arrested, oh, you're going to get it. Oh, you're going to hear from how come it's always my husband. But if 500 people were arrested, it's not me, it's anti-Semitism. it's a klali nikazach. It's not me. I said, that's it. I started to tell him. After every 10 prakim, I cried out more tefillot, more yeshuot. Another 10 prakim, crying out tefillot and yeshuot. 10 o'clock comes. And the shomrim walk in and they scream, the last shuttle is leaving. They said everything in Yiddish first. The last shuttle for Zurich. The last shuttle is leaving. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? But nobody in the room moved. We're here for Rabbi Shayell'e. We were put on the invite list. We didn't come for an hour. Hey, Mishter, you brought us here. You're not going to let us go in the 7th inning or the 8th inning, and definitely not the 9th inning. And we're here to stay. I'm saying this to him. I'm saying, let them come, let them arrest us. I'm saying this to him. Let them come. Rabbi Shayell'e is with us. We have no issue. You know what Rabbi Shayell'e was famous for saying when it came to Goyim? Either they bow down or they lay down. Oh, what a line. Woo-hoo. Let them come. Let them either bow down or let them lay down. But they're not touching us tonight. Not on the night of the Yartzeit. I started to daven my heart out. And I'm telling you, I look back for a minute, and my friend Lee Cohen is a Kohen. He was in the Kohanim section. They have the greatest Kohanim section. It's this little booth. It's like one of those VIP booths behind the glass that kind of hangs in by the kever, but not too close, but just close enough. And the Kohanim are up against the glass, and they're davening, eyes laying straight into the kever. It was beautiful. And I see Lee's up there crying. He's bawling. He's connecting with the tzaddik. And then behind the people, I see my other buddy, Teddy Straw. He's shaking away davening. I said, Teddy, get up here. Come closer to the Tzion. Come closer to the kever. And he comes, he makes his way up. I push him to the middle, right in front of the stone. Teddy daven. 10:30, 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, the shomrim, all the Jewish guys in charge by Rabbi Shayell'e, they screamed, Rabbi Isai, we're leaving. We're not even staying to protect you anymore. That's it. We're out. We're going down. You're on your own. Nobody moved. Nobody moved. It's unbelievable. Klal Yisrael. We're here for Rabbi Shayell'e. We have emunah that if we made it here, we're good. They left. The shomrim left. At that minute, one Chassidish Yid, who was standing right up against the kever of Rabbi Shayell'e, right up against the tombstone, he reaches back into the crowd and he grabs my shoulder and he shakes me and he says to me, Rabbi Ben Shushan. I said, yeah? He said, come up here to the front. I want you to stand here by the kever and daven for Klal Yisrael. I know if I get you up here, we'll hear about it in future weeks. I jumped that fence so fast. I got up to the other side because they closed up that lane because the shomrim left. I had the opportunity to hug mamish, the tombstone, for 15 minutes and cry my heart out and run my tears over the name on the stone, Shayell'e ben Reb Moshe. And I put my hands on his name, and mamish, I'm telling you, I was talking to Rabbi Shayell'e. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for the zchuyot, opening the doors. Thank you, Ribono Borei Olam, for the makom that you brought us to, for the chesed you did with us, for the opportunity that you gave us to daven here in such an amazing place. And thank you for the opportunity you gave us to strengthen our bitachon in the Yeshua that you bring us. When we go to a kever, we're not davening to the tzaddik. We're davening to Hashem in the merit, in the schus, in the merit of this great tzaddik, Rabbi Shayell'e ben Ramosha Mikerestir, and how many schuyot he had, and how much he did for Klal Yisrael, and how many yeshuot he was able to be po'el in Shamayim for those like us unworthy in his zichut, on his cheshbon, on his bank account. He had that checkbook that he was able to tuoy for people, unbelievable yeshuot. We stood there and cried over the stone for hours. And as time went on, people were getting more and more nervous, and people were leaving. It comes 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. The place was half. There was about 100 guys now. We literally had the makom to ourselves. Everyone now was just around the kever. Everyone was writing kvitlach and throwing it on the inside of the kever. Everyone was talking to Rabbi Shayell'e, and every 5-10 minutes different tikkunim were being done. And there was a chazan in the middle that had everyone doing certain tikkunim together. And they stopped at certain points, and the whole crowd screamed on the top of their lungs, Hashem, Hashem, Kel Rachum V'Chanun, the Yugimul Midot of Rachamim. And they would do it again and again, and a Kaddish, and a Menyesh Merabah. And everyone was singing it together, and they started singing Reb Shayell'e's song at 1 o'clock in the morning. I guess it was that time of night. They were singing already the song, and they were finishing the Tehillim. And then at 10 to 2, the doors of Rabbi Shayell'e's cave opens. Or maybe gets pushed open. And in comes running all the shayim. Guys, quick! This is your last chance. We don't know why. But the police just called. They allow us one last shuttle. The lockdown started at 10 o'clock. Anyone found on the street? They were giving out tickets anywhere between $500 to $1,500. And they would take they'd take either your passport away or some sort of guarantee of payment. Scary when you're in a foreign country. You're under their boot. Hashamayim. The shuttle comes up at 2 a.m. It was never planned. It was never scheduled. The police, for some reason, out of the blue, at 10 to 2, calls the Shomrim and says, we know there are people up there. Give them this last warning. We're sending them one last shuttle. At 2 o'clock, this shuttle shows up. I look at Lee. I look at Teddy. I said, guys, we got way more than we ever imagined. We got a flight. This coming morning, we got to start getting back to the airport. We're at Budapest at 9 o'clock. We got to be in the airport at 6:30. Let's go. We all made the last round. We hugged the Tzion one last time. We cried over Reb Shayell'e one last time. Les bakashot. We jumped onto that shuttle and made our way down. They had to walk us across the street from the shuttle to the house of Rabbi Shayell'e, one at a time. Because if anyone would see more than one person, it would be an eyesore. And the police wouldn't be allowed to let it go. And they'd have to jump on us and start hitting us with the fines. So they made us walk in the darkness of night. I'm telling you, I thought I was living one of these books that you're escaping Iran under the shadows of night, or you're escaping, God forbid, the Nazi Germany under the shadow. We were walking across one at a time, not to open eyes. We made it our way to Reb Shayell'e's house. We had a schnitzel, a little something. We had to send one guy to go get the car. Even when the car came, we had to show we had tickets. And even that they weren't sure. But the Yiddish guy there said to us, just go, I'll talk to them. We just drove off. And he jumped in front of the cop and started telling him, no, this is a special group from America. We went in with miracles. We were makabel the miracles. And we came back with miracles. Borei Olam says, it's up to you. You be kovea what world you live in. If you insist to live in the natural, then you will be held down to only the norm. But if you're ready to close your eyes and say, En od milvado, I don't know how I'm getting there. This makes no sense, no logic on paper. But Borei Olam, ani lo yachol, ata kol yachol, and I'm relying on only you, Abba. You can do the impossible, you can do anything. I want to be part of your everything and anything. Please get me there. Ve'avta et Hashem Elokecha. Al tachlok al hamakom. Because he can put you in any makom he wants, and any time he wants, in any which way he wants. Thank you for listening.